Good morning, students. In our last module, we have learnt the term resistance of a conductor. What is meant by the resistance of a conductor? Can one of you tell the property of a conductor due to which it opposes the flow of charge through it is termed as resistance. Is the resistance offered by all the substances same? No, it's not the same. It is different for different substances. In today's module, we are going to discuss about the factors that affect resistance. For this, we are going to study an activity which helps us to know about the different factors affecting resistance. The materials needed for this activity are nichrome wire of length L, mark it as 1. Now the second one is a nichrome wire of length 2L, twice the length as that of the first one. Mark it as 2. But remember, it should be of same thickness. Length is twice, but of same thickness. Mark it as 2. Now consider a nichrome wire of same length as that of 1, but it should be of more thickness. Mark it as 3. Lastly, consider a copper wire of same length and thickness as that of the first one. It should be of the same length and thickness as that of the nichrome wire that we took it as 1. We even need a cell, an ammeter and a plug key. Now connect cell, ammeter and the plug key with the nichrome wire of length L, which we marked as 1, as shown in the circuit diagram. Now insert the plug key and observe the ammeter reading. Now replace the nichrome wire of length L by another nichrome wire of same thickness but twice the length, which we marked as 2. Insert the plug key again and note down the ammeter reading. Let it be I2, the first one where we took length L as I1, and now for the second reading as I2. Now replace it by nichrome wire marked as 3. It has length L, same as nichrome wire marked 1, but it has more cross-sectional area. It is more thick. Note down the ammeter reading as I3. Now replace this with the copper wire of same length and thickness as that of nichrome wire marked as 1. The ammeter reading observed is noted down as I4. Now with these observations, we can read or learn about the factors affecting resistance. It was observed that the length of the wire increases, the value of the current decreases. So the second wire that we have taken, the nichrome wire of length 2L, where we increase the length, the value of the current has decreased. That means resistance is more. So we can conclude that when length increases, resistance also increases. We say resistance is directly proportional to the length of the conductor. Now the wire that we marked as 3, where the area of cross section is more, the value of the current will increase when compared to the nichrome wire which we marked as 1. That means the resistance will be less. So we can say here that when the area of cross section is increasing, resistance is decreasing. So are they directly proportional or inversely proportional? Yes, resistance is inversely proportional to the area of cross section of the conductor. It is also observed that the value of current when copper wire is taken is different from that of the current value of nichrome wire of same length and thickness, which enables us to say that resistance even depends on the nature of the material. So it depends on the length of the conductor, area of cross section of the conductor, and also on the nature of the material. The last factor is the temperature. The higher the temperature of the material, the higher will be the resistance. Generally, this is applicable for all the substances, most of the substances. So when the temperature is high, the resistance also will be high and the current flow will be less. With this knowledge about the factors on which the resistance of a conductor depends, we can derive a formula for the resistance of a conductor. The first factor, as we have already seen, the resistance is directly proportional to the length of the conductor. In symbolic form, we can write it as R proportional to L, where R is the resistance and L is the length of the conductor. Now the second factor, area of cross section. The resistance of a conductor is inversely proportional to the area of cross section of the conductor. So this we can represent as R proportional to 1 by A. Now we have got two equations. When you combine these two equations, R proportional to L and R proportional to 1 by A, we will have R proportional to L by A. Or we can also write it as R equal to rho into L by A, rho, RHO. Rho is a constant of proportionality. It is known as resistivity of the conductor or specific resistance. Now in this formula, R equal to rho L by A, if we can make rho as the subject and bring all the other terms on the right hand side, we will have RA equal to rho into L or rho equal to RA by L. The specific resistance or resistivity rho is equal to R into A by L. Now, from this formula, let us see if we can define resistivity. In this formula, for the length of the conductor, substitute as 1 meter, and for area of cross section, you take as 1 meter square. That means you are considering a conductor of unit length and unit cross-sectional area. Now when you substitute these values of L as 1 meter and A as 1 meter square, we will have rho equal to R. That means the specific resistance or resistivity is nothing but the resistance of a conductor of unit length and unit cross-sectional area. I repeat, resistivity of a conductor is the resistance of the conductor of unit length and unit cross-sectional area. Now, how to measure the specific resistance? What will be the units for specific resistance or resistivity? Now, in this formula, rho equal to R into A by L. R is the resistance, A is the area of cross section, and L is the length. We know the SI units of these three quantities. When we substitute the SI units of resistance, area of cross section, and length as ohm, meter square, and meter respectively, on simplifying, we get the SI unit for specific resistance or resistivity as ohm meter. What are the SI units? Ohm meter. Now, if you see this table, the table is giving you the resistivities of different substances at 20 degrees Celsius. If you observe, the conductors have their values of resistivity to the order of 10 power minus 8 ohm meters, and alloys have resistivity to the order of 10 power minus 6 meters, ohm meters. Resistivity, no? So the units will be ohm meter. I repeat, conductors, the resistivity is of the order of 10 power minus 8 meters. Alloys, they have resistivity to the order of 10 power minus 6 meters. Both metals and alloys are good conductors of electricity. Insulators, on the other hand, have resistivity of the order of 10 power 12 to 10 power 17 ohm meters. The table shows clearly that alloys are having higher resistivity than the constituent metals. Also, alloys do not burn even at high temperatures. That means they do not oxidize at high temperatures. It is for this reason alloys are used as the heating element in electrical heating devices. Can one of you name any heating device? Electrical heating device? Yes. Electric iron, electric oven, all these are electrical heating appliances. In all these devices, they use alloys as the heating element. Do you know what materials are used for transmission of power lines? Electrical transmission lines. Yes, it is copper and aluminum which are used for electrical transmission lines. So far in this chapter, we have learnt about charge, electric current, potential, potential difference, Ohm's law, resistance, and resistivity. In our next module, we will be learning about resistance of a combination of resistors. That means when you consider more than one resistor and you combine them in different possible ways, how to know the resistance of the combination? That we are going to discuss in our next module. I hope all of you are able to follow the lesson well. In case if you have any doubts, you are free to contact me. You can contact me anytime and I'll be available for you. So for today, we will conclude our class here. Thank you.